see the red circle. I think we're ready. So, okay, let's begin. This is our September Public Health and Safety meeting, and I'm joined by Bob Weisbord and our mayor, as well as the chief. We have also the manager with us. So my understanding is because of the storm, we decided to move to Zoom, and this means that we can't take official votes as a committee. Is that right, Samantha?
That is correct.
Okay, so we can have discussion and make recommendations like we've done previously. Okay, as a first order of business, Samantha, did we need to amend our agenda? Can you remind me?
Yeah, that'll be interesting how we would handle doing this. I mean, I guess we should get in habit of doing the correct procedure, even if this is a, unofficial sort of meeting. So what you need to do to amend the agenda, first you have to ask if everyone's okay with amending the agenda. And then you have to have a second question of adding the actual agenda item you'd like to add.
Okay. And this is in reference to the snow routes, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask the committee if you are amenable to amending the agenda to add a discussion item about the borough's snow routes, because we've had some complaints. So Bob, Andrea, are you open to adding that?
I'm amending it to an amenable change of the agenda.
I'm amenable to it, but I'm not an official voting member of this.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll go ahead and amend the agenda. We could make it about 1.6 on the agenda. Okay. Items for discussion.
That sounds good. And that sounds good. And what just again, so we're all clear about this process for official sort of stuff in the future, what I'll do, what I'll be legally required to do if it were an official meeting, which I'll go ahead and do anyway tomorrow, is within 24 hours of the meeting, we have to amend the agenda that was posted to the borough website with the amended agenda. So I'll make sure that tomorrow we get a version of the agenda up on the borough website that has that item 1.6 added to it.
Okay, thank you. So let's see. So we'll start at the top, and I think we can't really do these first two items because we're not official. So this is about approving the minutes. So I think we need to wait on these 1.1 and 1.2.
That would be correct.
Okay. All right, so we'll go to the third item, which is the status of command with Chief Gallagher.
Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. And good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be on the call as always. This is our status of command report for September 1st, presented for this meeting at 6:30 p.m. I know in the interest of time, we have quite a few things on the agenda, and it's amended as well. Everything under personnel and fleet is pretty much the same. I can change one thing at the end of the report, but just to basically give everybody, can everybody hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jumping down to Municipal Police Officer Education and Training Commission annual certifications, the only thing that's in continuance right now is emergency vehicle operations at the Public Safety Academy. We only have one or two more officers left for the year and we're done. And then firearms training at the Public Safety Academy, and that's the same scenario there. Jumping down to the next training certifications and information section, our coverage hours for August were 185 and a half hours, which is an increase of 41 versus that of July of 2021, which landed at 144 and a half hours. The reason being is we had a heavy duty training commitment this month, as well as some scheduled summer vacation periods, which is the reason that you see the increase of 41 hours. So that was kind of an outlier right there. but we're confident that that's going to go back down in September versus August, to summarize for our next meeting in the first week of October. Also, before we get into the other really good news that I'm going to save for the mayor at the end, I just wanted to let everybody know that Sergeant Vernaccio is now attending first line supervisory training at Penn State's Justice and Safety Institute starting on October the 11th. It is now confirmed. It is a great promotional class training that they run at Penn State University. It's called POSIT, and it's followed up by POLEX, which is executive training. So we're very excited to get Sergeant Vernaccio in that class. We feel that's going to be very beneficial for his professional development in his probationary period for his first year. Very coveted training. We're glad we got a seat. In terms of completed training, duty to intervene was completed on June the 8th. Report writing on June the 14th. Perception of danger on June the 15th. For the Department of Public Safety, the complete traffic stop was completed by Sergeant Vernaccio on Monday, August the 16th, and high-risk vehicle investigations were completed by both Officer McCabe and Officer Belfi on August the 17th, Tuesday. And we do have some scheduled training coming up, which is sponsored by our work comp provider, Delaware Valley Trust, our insurance provider for emergency vehicle operations for SUVs. And we're very proud to announce that we have 2 officers going to Street Cop Training Conference in Atlantic City the week of Monday, October the 4th. And very hard to get in that training, and we're very glad that we did it. Usually transfers from year to year, one year in Vegas and 1 year in Atlantic City. The only ad at the bottom before I turn things over to the mayor is that we have one vehicle that was hit on July 12th. It's at the auto body shop. We're expecting that back during the week of Tuesday, September the 7th, fully operational. So the news is good there. And again, that is not an officer-involved accident. That was just a parked, unattended Dodge Charger, which was hit in the parking lot by a U-Haul truck. And so there's no officer fault involved with that accident whatsoever. And the person who hit the police car was very responsible and came right to the police department to report it. So we were certainly appreciative. And the one thing I'd like to do right now is turn things over to the mayor. She has a very special announcement about our cooperation agreement with Laura Marion.
Just wanted to let everyone know that it is has been finalized. So we have an official agreement with Laura Marion. It will last 5 years. And I'd like to thank Chief Gallagher for all his hard efforts in making sure that that was done and that the I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And now we have an official agreement. So thank you, Chief Gallagher, for completing that on behalf of the department.
Thank you, Mayor. I certainly appreciate that. And to reassure everybody, I can tell you that this was written from the perspective of making sure that the liabilities interests were, the borough's interests were protected, in this document. And that was the main theme, the main thrust of all the time that was spent on that, to make sure that we protected the borough's interests moving forward for 5 years, and will continue to do so. It was not really written to the extent that it did that before, but I can tell you that it is written that way now. And the good news is that as much as we have a great partnership with Laura Marion, we're very proud to say that we do our own investigations now. And, there's a little bit more independence and a little bit more professional development and job satisfaction for each officer in the Narberth Police Department.
Thank you, John and Andrew. I know our department is very much respected by the Laura Marion department. And that's your hard work. Okay, well, we can move to these next 2 items. So the LED streetlights. I think this is our manager.
Sure, yeah. I guess a mix of good and not as good news with LED streetlights. So as I reported last month, our contract with Armour & Sons, the actual installer, it has been completed. However, and the lights have been ordered. However, talking last week with our consultant for the project, Keystone Lighting Solutions, the lights had to be ordered from a facility in Mexico, which is actually a lot closer than where I've gotten lights before. When I was in past employment, LED lights actually came from Spain and from Asia. But unfortunately, there's been a little bit of delay on the shipment, just with everything going on in the world of manufacturing and materials and all that. So it looks like the lights won't actually get to Armor and Sons for another week or two. We have been promised that there are 6 projects that Keystone Lighting Solutions and Armor are currently working on, and we have been promised that we will be the first of the 6. So we are having a pre-construction meeting with Armor and Keystone Lighting Solutions on September 9th. And what we're going to do at that meeting is go over, which lights to prioritize. The borough office has a list now, I think, of close to 50 streetlights in the borough that are currently not working. So our top priority is going to be to get those lights, replaced before replacing any functioning lights.
Okay.
Samantha, if you could be so kind as to just update folks in the weekly newsletter, because I know there's been a lot of chatter online as to when these will be updated, and folks have been really relying on the weekly newsletter, and that's been wonderful. So just if we could just update them, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, good news on that. Basically, the memo that I provided to this committee, which is basically the information I just gave, was in the weekly newsletter back on this past Friday. And we'll definitely continue to update that information each week in the weekly newsletter as there's new information to report.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Samantha. And just to underscore how much we appreciate the newsletter. I mean, I think, not just the council and the mayor, but I've heard from so many residents how much they appreciate those updates. So.
I was really excited when, being a relatively new employee still here, I was really excited to see the borough does that. And I think it's a really great resource for the residents. So I'm glad we're able to keep that going and keep contributing to it.
Okay, great. And then the next item is the EV chargers, the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, so my thanks to Councilor McGreevy and I guess Jesse Lytle as well for all the work they put in on the press release that went out last week. I thought it was, overall pretty great, and I really appreciate the support you all gave the borough office with that. That went to the Patch as well as to the Mainline Times. And I'm pretty sure the Patch published it. I don't know if Mainline Times has or not. We have gotten commitments from our state rep, from our state senator, from the electric vehicle charging provider Flow, and from the electrician who installed the chargers, Keith Martin Electric, that they're all going to be there. So hopefully, members of council will be able to attend as well. For anyone listening or watching at home, it's in the Friday, September 10th at 5 p.m. over at the municipal building parking lot. And someone from Flow will be there to show us how to use the chargers. And I believe I've heard someone has volunteered to provide an electric vehicle for us to test it out on. So I think it'll be really great. And I think it's the first step in a lot of really great stuff that's been teed up, with the climate action plan and everything else the borough's been working on and the past administration was working on to really do a lot of good things for the community. And sorry, my cats are messing with something in the background.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So,
Rob, should we invite the press to that?
Yeah. What do you think?
As part of the press release, the press was invited. I'll try to follow up again. I don't know if you all have any recommendations other than the Mainline Times, and I'm certainly happy to have me or have Michelle Carroll reach out to them.
Yeah, I would recommend the local news, the TV news ABC Action News. They, many
Yeah.
they've done many stories in Narberth around environmental themes. Whether it's plastics or so. Yeah, and I think because we're so close in to the city, it might be easier for some reporters to come.
Yeah, that sounds great. I can definitely do that. Thanks for that suggestion.
So, Andrea, are you able to attend?
Yeah, yes, I am planning on attending.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now,
Bob, I don't know if you can come. Be great to have you.
I'll come if I'm able, Rob. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So.
and sorry if I may, a question for the mayor, since this is my first ribbon cutting in Narberth Borough. Does the mayor of Narberth have an official pair of big scissors, or does the borough office need to get our hands on some?
I think you need to get your hands on some.
Okay.
I do not have a giant pair. This is my first official ribbon cutting. So yeah, I think Rob should really have his hands on the scissors too, for all his work.
I'll make sure to get a pair that's big enough for plenty of people to.
Yeah, I was going to say there are many pairs of hands that should
be
on that. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you for organizing that, Samantha. So next we would go to our 1.6, which is the snow routes. And this is a specific complaint that we have heard from residents on Williams, which is a 1-block street on the north side. And they're requesting to not have the snow route on their block because of a number of problems that have been explained in a few letters that have been sent to the committee. And I've shared them with the manager. So, we don't have to sort it all out now, but I guess I just want to ask Samantha, do you have any advice on a process here? I mean,
yeah,
it's not quite the traffic complaint process. I don't know if it quite falls into that.
Yeah. So just to give a little more overview on this, the timing of this discussion is good because it was separate from this recently brought to my attention that the signage that we have up for emergency snow routes does not correspond with the actual ordinance we have on the books, which thus, I defer a little bit to the chief, but I would imagine that limits our enforcement ability, when those things don't match up. So, given that it's September, I don't know how formal or convoluted of a process we need to have. I've asked our public works foreman, who's been plowing the roads in the borough, for 30 years now, who's also our fire chief. I know I'd certainly welcome any comments from Chief Gallagher to provide feedback to me about, what if we're going to have to update this ordinance and consider this matter. What roads in the borough should be on the emergency snow list. I think for this year, we just need to get an ordinance to kind of get us ready for, snow season. And then maybe after that, if we want to do more of a lengthier, evaluation process, I'm certainly very open to that. But just recognizing the fact that it's early September, we probably just need to get something on the books for now. And for whatever it's worth, Williams is not currently on the list of borough emergency snow routes. And my understanding is the signage there was installed maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago. And I'd have to defer to other folks here as to why that signage was put there and all that.
Okay, that's helpful. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we could return to this as a committee next time, but I'll be sure everyone has these letters so we can see what the specific complaints are.
And what I can maybe do before the next meeting is have a chance to chat with the chief and with our public works foreman / fire chief, and with maybe our with folks at the ambulance, Narberth Ambulance Company, to see what their thoughts are on which streets in the borough should and shouldn't be snow emergency routes. And then I can get, a memo to this committee for the next meeting with their recommendations.
Okay, that would be very helpful. So, yeah, I'll just make a note that we'd like to return to that in our October meeting. Okay, so next we move to action items, and this is the traffic concern process that we've discussed. So, thanks to Bob's institutional memory. That was a big help, Bob. I think we have the equipment, but we need to pay a fee to enable the traffic count function. So Samantha, you can fill us in or
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's exactly the situation. Thanks to the suggestion Councilmember Weisberg had for myself and the chief at last month's meeting. I give a lot of credit to Chief Gallagher and Mike Kennedy from our Public Works Department. They did some really great research to figure out what equipment we had and who it came from. And then I was able to take that information and find out, what the subscription cost would be to allow for the traffic counting. And council would need to approve it because it would be an, unbudgeted expense. We have 2 signs right now. A subscription for each of them. It'll be $1,100 each. Talking with Chief Gallagher, we probably only really need one of them to actually have the traffic counting functionality. And if we, if this turns into an overwhelming thing, we could then always come back and add it to the second one. But we, feel that for now, just having it on one will be fine. So Borough Council would need to approve $1,100 per year for that subscription. And I think with that done, we can pretty much start moving forward with the, process we've talked about the last couple months.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, so are we all comfortable with that then as a committee? That, I was expecting the cost to be much higher, frankly, but I'm very pleased that it's really affordable. Okay.
Money well spent.
Yeah. So it sounds like as a committee, we could recommend this to the council at our next meeting, right?
Yeah, I think we can absolutely do that.
Okay. Okay. All right. And that would mean that then we could begin the process shortly after that, right? In October?
Yeah, I mean, if you even wanted to, we could, we could start talking a little bit. I don't know how much in detail you want to get on each one, but we could go ahead and decide tonight if we wanted to apply that traffic counting to any of the requests we already have. So that way, immediately after the council meeting, we could go ahead and start collecting the data. We wouldn't have it in time for the October meeting, I don't think, because if council approves the expense on the 22nd, I think our process was we want to get 2 weeks worth of data. And this committee meets next on the 6th. So, I mean, we'd be cutting it pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your call. I mean, I think the out of the 4 that we currently have, going ahead and immediately being able to get that equipment out probably over at Sabine would probably be a big benefit for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Bob or Andrea, we have the list of complaints, but I guess it's one at a time, right? We have to do 2 weeks, say at Sabine, before we can go to Woodside.
So what are the 4 specific ones?
We have Sabine Avenue, Woodside, and South Narberth, Haverford Avenue in Essex, and then Windsor Avenue Crosswalk.
Yeah, I would maybe defer to the chief's expertise a little bit, but just based on the nature of the request, I would think the traffic counting equipment would be most impactful, probably on the Sabine and Windsor ones. It could have used, for Woodside and for the because the complaints from Woodside and Haverford were more about people turning.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I mean, we could certainly collect data on how often, people are turning through that area, but I think those get more to just the makeup of the intersection itself, as opposed to any particular traffic behavior at those intersections.
Can I weigh in here for a second?
Hi, John.
I agree with Samantha. I think 3-1 and 3-4 are probably the most the best direction to go. Number one with Sabine Avenue, just that number one, that's one of our longest standing complaints. So I think we should probably address that one first. And another reason that we probably should address that is because Wonder Spring is going to come back into full force in September. And there's a lot of children, obviously, that go to that daycare center. And we're going to see more and more activity at the Sabine Park with the return of school. So we could probably put that into immediate effect, the traffic counting that would really help us see if there is a problem there with one-way traffic going in the opposite direction, wrong way, one way. So, because we've been out there ourselves personally, as everybody knows on this call, and we've counted that. We've tried to monitor it repeatedly. So I think maybe as a way to actually cut our teeth with this new traffic equipment. And I really have to thank Samantha for whittling down and finding out the most affordable package, because I can tell you that some of the other things I found in my research, for instance, a company called Radar Signs, not only would we have to buy the equipment and the software, the starting price was about $5,500. So Samantha has done quite a good job at really negotiating with the company that we currently have the equipment from. So that's just my take on it. I think some of the other ones, as Samantha mentioned, may be a little harder because the one's connected to a parking complaint. The other one's a sign complaint. The Windsor Avenue crosswalk traffic complaint. That too is definitely a long-standing complaint for us, as well as Haverford Avenue with the crosswalks too, even though that's not on the list. But my recommendation would be to cherry pick that one right off the top, take care of that, and we could actually see how our equipment works. It'll give us a test run for that.
So I think my recommendation to the committee, on the hopefully safe assumption that Borough Council is going to approve us moving forward with this subscription, would be to post the equipment for 2 weeks over on Sabine to gather traffic counting data, and then to post it for 2 weeks over near the crosswalk at Windsor to gather some traffic data. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And if we could present that at the November 3rd PHS meeting, we should have plenty of time to have council approve it, get the equipment set up, collect the data, and provide an informational memo to PHS. Between now and the October PHS meeting, what we could do, let me look at our process again here, is, given that given that the traffic counting equipment I don't think would be as useful there, maybe per our process going to step 3, if this committee is comfortable with it, I could share those other 2 concerns with the borough traffic engineer and request that by our October meeting, he provides some insight as to what we could or should do about those traffic concerns.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Samantha, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, the Windsor Avenue crosswalk complaint that we have regarding traffic, is that the one at Windsor and Narbrook Park, or is that further up?
It is Windsor and Narbrook Park, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I'm 90% sure. Let me double check the actual complaint again real quick, which I did include in everyone's packet.
That's right, with the giant stop sign.
Yeah. Windsor past the library and the playground. Yeah, vast majority of cars roll through the stop signs at the crosswalk to the playground.
Yeah, and I think yeah, that is our longest standing complaint. Just to let you know, on the Narberth Police Department side, Windsor and Narberth Park, along with Sabine Avenue, and both of them involve a lot of activity with children. So I think that we should, maybe go with 3-1, and then maybe eventually, after this is all approved and set up, we go with 3-4. But in the meantime, we're still going to go out there with enforcement at the ladder, because obviously that's always a longstanding concern. So, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the clarification, Samantha. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure it was the one that we're always thinking of.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good plan. Thank you, Samantha, for developing the process, and John, working with John, getting the equipment to work the way we need it to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Unless there's anything else, Samantha, you wanted to discuss under 3?
No, I think we made a lot of really great progress tonight, and the mayor's announcement about the MOU was really great. And so I think this was a really, not the longest meeting, but I feel like we got a lot done in, 35, 40 minutes. And I think for both the chief and I, we probably want to get back to focusing on the weather situation.
I know. Yeah.
Just FYI, I just saw that there's still a tornado warning in effect tonight until 7:15 for our area. So just, keep an eye out.
And I just wanted to add to the status of command report. I apologize. Just got the information from Mike Ford from Narberth Ambulance for the benefit of the committee. We had 16 responses in August from Narberth Ambulance in the borough, and only 7 resulted in transport to a medical facility.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. Why don't we just check if there's any public comment? I see Ira.
No comment.
Okay. Thank you, Ira, for coming. I don't think there's anyone else.
No, there's no one else.
Okay. So thank you all. So let's be safe. This is the tail end of Ida, I guess. We'll adjourn.
Just there is a flash flood warning as well. So just everybody, just be safe and stay inside if you can tonight.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Bob. Good night, everybody.